Reading aloud now some information on Hitchcock's Murder from 1930. This is again from Brenton Film. Dana Baring, an actress in a touring company, is discovered near the scene of the crime when a woman is found murdered. She is charged with the murder, placed on trial, and convicted on circumstantial evidence. One of the jury, however, Sir John Menier, believes in her innocence and undertakes to prove it. His personal investigations take him to the touring company, where he questions members of the cast and others. Through the girl's landlady, he hears that a man's voice is overheard near the scene of the crime on the night of the murder, and eventually he tracks down the killer in an exciting climax in a circus tent. That's the US Republic Pictures VHS blurb from 1994, and it was shared with the Australian Polygram VHS release from 1995, apparently. Writing in 1930, the critic and documentary maker John Grierson, CBE 1898 to 1972, infamously proclaimed, "Hitchcock is the best director, the slickest craftsman, the sharpest observer and finest master of detail in all England. There is no doubt about this. He has these qualities so abundantly that in their sum they give him a style which is his and no one else's. A Hitchcock film is a Hitchcock film, and never a bad one. And this, if you will believe me, is an achievement of character where so many hands, grubby and otherwise, contribute to the final result of a film." Yet for all these virtues, Hitchcock is no more than the world's best director of unimportant pictures. Not one he has made has outlasted a couple of 12 months, or will, unless something radical happens to change his standard of satisfaction and give his talent something solid to be bright about. Ouch. He was, of course, making the point that, in his opinion, Hitch's prodigious talent should be turned towards making films based on more important subjects than mere escapist entertainment like this. He then went on to review both Murder and Rich and Strange in great and thoughtful detail. Much later, director John Frankenheimer broadly echoed his sentiments, but it still sounds like sour grapes to me, and Gruesome was wrong about them not lasting longer than a couple of years. Even so, as with so many of Hitchcock's, Murder and its German-language sister Mary are best known these days for having been directed by our Alfred. Just as interesting, though, is the fact that multiple-language version MLV films shot simultaneously on the same sets but with different casts. Filming took place from March to May 1930 at British International Pictures London studios, as if all of Hitch's films made for the company from The Ring to The Skin Game. The Hitch-produced Lord Canber's Ladies was also shot there, and he returned years later there to use the facilities for Jamaica Inn and Stage Fright. Both are Murder and Mary are densely plotted mystery thriller whodunits with numerous typically Hitchcockian twists. Though Mary is 20 minutes shorter than Murder, so much more streamlined, a third version, presumably French, was initially proposed but didn't transpire. This is actually Hitch's second experience of MLVs, as the previous film he worked on, Elstree Calling, was completed in 9 different languages. Murder/Mary source text is 1928 British novel Enter Sir John, also serialized the same year in US publication Nash's Magazine, before being published complete a few months later. Both are graced with gorgeous illustrations by Sidney Seymour Lucas, the accomplished artist son of renowned Victorian painter John Seymour Lucas. It was written by Clemence Dane, the pseudonym of Winifred Ashton, who was by all accounts an unwittingly hilarious conversationalist, and Helen Simpson, who later mounted a parallel career as a Liberal politician until her untimely early death. Ashton racked up an impressive tally of film and TV credits, and though this is her only official connection of Hitch, she also carried out the initial uncredited adaptation of Jamaica Inn, and her own annotated script sold in early 2013. If its buyer should read this, please get in touch. Mainly via her novel, Simpson has also garnered a handful of screen credits, including 2 more with Hitch. Despite various authors repeating the claim that Pear's novel was adapted for the stage, according to film historian Charles Barr in English Hitchcock 1999, there's no record of that ever happening. The rumour seems to have come about due to Dane also being a successful playwright, and the fact that, as the book is set within the world of the theatre, the films naturally come across as if they were play adaptations, much like the oft-repeated falsities of Mountain Eagle being renamed in the US, or Nita Naldi's supposed appearance in The Pleasure Garden. The murder play misapprehension has been perpetuated by numerous lazy authors and non-existent fact-checking. For all that, Enter Sir John did at least spawn a rare 1932 sequel titled, somewhat predictably, Re-Enter Sir John. On the subject of associated books, I strongly recommend Hitchcock Lost and Found, The Forgotten Films 2015, also by Barr, with Alain Curzon-Cuff. It is a substantial chapter on both MLVs, with an in-depth analysis of their production and many fascinating differences. Another important print resource is the aforementioned English Hitchcock, while there's an extensive breakdown of Murder sound design in First Experiments of Sound, Blackmail and Murder, Elizabeth Weiss, The Silent Scream, A.H.'s soundtrack, 1982. Following the execution of its titular subject matter, Murder threatens to devolve into a similar, albeit highly stylized, vein as later classic courtroom dramas such as 12 Angry Men 1957, before moving firmly into whodunit territory. There are some keenly observed performances from the usual array of Hitch regulars, both credited and uncredited. In particular, look out for former blackmailer Donald Calthrop, who puts in a brief but nimble turn as both a policeman and a damsel in distress. Without wanting to spoil the outcome, it's previously often been claimed the killer commits their crime to protect the dreadful secret that they're actually gay. This is incorrectly seen as a subtext instead of the real reason stated in both the book and film, which happens to be something of which I myself am thoroughly yet unashamedly guilty. How times have changed. In the novel, the killer escapes his captors and permanently disappears, while in Mary his motivation is protecting the more conventional secret that he's an ex-convict. A question. There are various timepieces as seen during the course of the film, and all display 1:30, either AM or PM. I'm well aware of Hitch's general predilection for clocks, watches, etc., but does anyone know the reason for this particular time? Edit. Hitch fan Matthew Hardesty suggested a very plausible explanation in the comments. Distinguished British actor Herbert Marshall played Sir John himself, and during a lengthy transatlantic career went on to star in Hitch's second American film, Foreign Correspondent, the Hitch co-scripted Forever and a Day, and 3 episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. There were also several Hitch-related radio dramas, The Lodger, 2 of the 39 Steps, Rebecca, and by strange coincidence, the July 1920-1953 Lux Radio Theatre adaptation of Daphne du Maurier's 1952 short story The Birds, a full 10 years before the release of Hitch's screen version. The actor had a very colourful love life, and the second of his 5 wives was fellow Brit Edna Best, star of the original The Man Who Knew Too Much. The pair had a daughter, actress Sarah Marshall, who also starred in 5 episodes of Presents / Hour and associated series Star Time.